Because nothing changes until we make it change. And it's talking basically about every one of us here in this room being responsible and taking, I guess, it upon themselves to become a little more informed on what's happening outside of this punk rock community and taking a little more action and making more of an impact on the world instead of just what's happening within our own scene. And I guess my biggest complaint about this whole movement of punk is that people isolate themselves too much from what's happening already in an existing world, existing communities. So that's what this song is about. You can keep the lights on, it's cool. Nada cambia. There's a new song, it's called No Man Gonna Say That. It'll be released in August. It'll be on a split LP with Spirit Boy and then musician, so whatever. He's from the outside. We've been really running on a really tight schedule on this tour, and it's been over a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, that we haven't had lyric sheets done up. And I think that's really shitty because I like having them for people. But he's gonna get one, and since he's from around this area, you can hit him right here up for lyric sheets because he's gonna make copies and he's gonna hand them out at the next couple shows, right?
All right, Chris.
All right. Do us a huge favor, please.
All right, Martin.
All right. This one's called Desde Afuera from the outside.
La
called "En Mi Opinión," and it's another new one which basically translates, "In my opinion." I thought it was really important for those of you who caught the band, and I can't pronounce your name or remember, what were they called? That one band with the women who did the spoken word?
Name.
Name?
Name.
Okay, I thought they had some really interesting things to say, really cool stuff. And they brought up many issues about sexuality and abuse. And that's what the song is about. It's about domestic violence. And basically it's a song written from a man's viewpoint to another man. And basically what it's about is, as a man, I know in men's circles, there are really shitty things that other men can say about women and about other people. And I think it's really important that as a man that you not be afraid to confront somebody when they talk some really stupid bullshit. And it goes even beyond that. Like I said, the song is about domestic violence. And it's really easy these days, I think, for some bands just to write songs, you know, about like, you know, rape and stuff like that. But it's a really horribly serious thing. And I guess if you're a person that is involved in some type of a relationship that is abusive, I mean, if you can, try to seek any type of help possible to try to get out of it. I know it's not easy to see things out of it or see a way out. I know my sister was caught up in a marriage that became very abusive, and it really hurts to see a family member going through something like that. And I don't know if you know somebody going through it, just try to be as supportive as you can. And, you know, support, that's it. This song's called "En Mi Opinión," in my opinion. For those of you who have never seen us before, we do all our songs in Spanish, if you've never heard of us. We do like to talk between our songs because that's important to us, to let you know where it is we're coming from. And to basically let you know, or share with you, maybe something that we have experienced in our life. And those crudos came together as a band, not just to go and play shows and rock out, because I'm not down for that. We came out and formed this band because where we live in Chicago, we have to, I guess we in our lifetimes have witnessed and have experienced a lot of really crazy shit. And when we talk about problems that we have in our communities, which there are many, we have kids who are killing themselves every day for really crazy reasons. You have all sorts of abuse going on. You have the racism. And the list goes on and on of all these problems. But this song that we're going to do is called "Tú lo enseñaste," which means because you taught it. And I mentioned in other shows that not one person is ever born hating anybody or knowing what it is or what hate is or what racism is. All that stuff is taught to us. And everything about us, everything you find yourself throughout your life as you're growing up, combating roles and walls that have been put around us, and we're constantly doing that. And there's many walls that get put around us. It's basically about these things that are taught to us, these roles. I mean, it could be about sexuality, it could be about anything. I just think it's pretty sad that kids, some kids like in our neighborhood grow up hating themselves because they're too dark, or because they come from a different background, or because they, don't speak English well enough, and then they really take out on their own people and themselves. And I think that's so unhealthy for somebody, especially children, since they are the most vulnerable. And the school system doesn't help at all, because they always tend to try to strip things away from us. Any type of individuality, they try to just leak it out of us, and it's really a difficult thing, and it's a tough struggle. But that's what the song's about. It's because you taught it, because none of us hate when we are born, and that's what this is about. Which translates to fight, and it's not what I just about the struggle. Basically, I would hope that when people leave shows like these, or people leave a show that we do, they don't walk away just go, oh, that was a cool band, what's the next show coming up, and just kind of get caught in this trap of just going shows, because the scene is not just about going to shows, it's about bands. Bands come and go all the time. We're gonna go at one point, and I don't want people to just go, yeah, they were cool, and then forget about it. I want people to I would hope that these words kind of sometimes penetrate into people. You realize that we, the punk community, have a lot of potential. There's a lot of energy that's generated in and out of this community. But I think the thing that sucks about this is that we isolate ourselves so much from other people, and there's nothing wrong with getting involved with other existing communities and sharing what we know or whatever we have with other people. I think that's a good thing to do. And there's many ways of doing it. Nobody's saying you have to go take up arms and start a revolution. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a more quiet revolution. We're talking about education, about teaching, about sharing ideas, about words and exchanging them. That's what we're talking about. If some of us here are very well educated, there is nothing wrong with you going into poor, underprivileged communities and helping kids with homework and shit like that, and tutoring. That's a very powerful way of getting messages and ideas across, and people do appreciate it. Don't think that because maybe a lot of us here are white or whatever, don't think that you can't go in a community and help people out, because it would be appreciated. Any kid that has problems with homework and you help them, they're going to love you for it. And that's what it's about. It's about sharing with other people. And that's one way. Peleamos, struggling, fighting. What are we dealing with? What are we dealing with these days? We're dealing with this whole immigrant issue, right? But I think it's really important that you don't be fooled. When they talk about immigrants, they know exactly who it is they're looking for. When they go to bus, people and go for a raid, La Migra, INS, immigration, when they go raid people in a factory, in some workplace, they know what immigrant they're looking for, and it's a dark-skinned immigrant. It's an issue of race, okay? And I think you have to realize that, because this country, first of all, is made up of immigrants. Everybody here who is non-native is an immigrant. Pete Wilson and all these politicians, they're immigrants, and what they're doing is hiding from the fact that their grandparents at one point came from somewhere else too. And I think that's something that they have to be reminded of all the time, that this is not originally their land, this is a stolen land, and who are they to tell anybody where they should live? And that's a big thing. So when you hear these things about like 187, all these laws, really come down on people and throw these things at. They don't like to be reminded of that they too are from somewhere else. And basically, I guess we'll dedicate this song to all the people who have to deal with this on a daily basis, and just trying to survive, okay? That's it, peleamos. Peleamos con las palabras. Peleamos con el corazón. lot of time already, and this is going to be our last song. It's called Asesinos, and this song may translate assassins. And I guess we can basically dedicate it to all these people like Pete Wilson and people who are making other people's lives extremely miserable. It's a very scary time these days in this country, I think. And there's many different ways, like I mentioned, that they can get to you. And most of it, I think, is, like we all know, at the children and the kids. And it really sucks because I work as a teacher, and teaching is a fucking tug of war these days because there's teachers who teach and teach shit and teach for the wrong reasons. They shouldn't even be involved with children if they're gonna teach them truth and how to be open and think openly, right? And then there's people that I know that teach and try to share the truth about life, what I think is truth, and just about being yourself, about learning about other people. Because I think that's where a lot of these walls get built up, and this racism comes from, is from ignorance. People just not knowing what a Mexican is, not knowing what a person from India or Arabia is, not knowing what a person from Japan is, and just kind of assuming and stereotyping, and just kind of, you know, lumping people together and coming up with these crazy ideas and concepts. But this song, Asesinos, I guess we'll dedicate, and just to put it in your terms, each one of us in our lifetime at one point or another has had somebody who's tried to murder something within us, and I'm dedicated to everybody here because I know everybody has had somebody do something in a bad way to them, and that's what it's about. It's about assassins, about people who try to kill something within you. And there's many different ways of looking at it, but thank you very much. Asesinos.